Hey, it's Vincent here from Vincent Games, your untapped source of MTG tips, info and discussion. Sorry if I sound a little bit funny today. I think I am coming down with something. I feel like a bit bunged up, a little bit sort of congested and sort of phlegmy and disgusting and horrible. So that explains why I might sound a little bit weird, but nevertheless I thought I would do a little video today to kind of catch up with how I did over the last weekend with GP Liverpool and just some general thoughts about Sealed. I was at GP Liverpool over the last weekend and the event was a blast. There were so many people that I knew, and as I've started to attend more events over the last year and a bit, when you go to these things you actually start to see more familiar faces. The events are a lot less daunting from that point of view, because like this GP, for example, there was 8 of us sharing a house, and the last GP I went to, it was just me and a buddy, and I didn't know as many when I wasn't hanging out with my mate, who, especially when he had day 2 and I didn't. It was a little bit crap really, because I was just sort of milling about, not really knowing what to do or who to speak to. So going to more of these events, there's so many more people that you know and you hang out with, so it kind of has this extra rewarding factor. The more of these you go to, the more judges you kind of end up chatting to, because you just get to know them. So it's really, really great. So the event was really fun from that point of view. And another reason I'd recommend these events is just because they're the social aspect of them that you don't always consider when you think about going to these events. You think, oh, I'll go to a GP, it'll be to compete, or because you want to try and do well, or just because you enjoy the GPs. Actually, there's a whole social aspect to it as well. But as for the main event, my sealed pool, because the event was Ixalan Sealed, was pretty good. I opened a fairly medium pool, except for the black-white elements of the pool. Essentially, black-white was a very easy decision. It allowed me to play most of my rares, it allowed me to play most of my removal and combat tricks, and it also had the best 2 drops. It allowed me to play the best 2 drops that I had in my sealed pool. So in sealed, as a general rule of thumb, you want to be playing all of your rares and you want to be playing all of your removal, and Ixalan is, even in sealed, all about 2 drops in my opinion. The speed of the format is somewhat slower compared to draft, however the fast paced nature of the format in general is still very much a thing, and 2 drops do kind of dictate the pace of the game. If someone opens up with a turn 2 Wandering Scoundrels and then equips it with a 1 with the Wind, if you don't have an answer to that, then you are just dead in a very short space of time. Obviously you have cards like Charging Monstrosaur and Anointed Deacon and Deathless Agent, Air Elemental, really powerful higher costed cards that come down later in the game and don't impact that early. However, I stand by, if you're not playing something relevant on turn 2, then more often than not, you just feel like you're behind. And so that just sealed the deal for me, just being able to play all the best 2 drops that I had in my pool with the removal and the bombs that I had was really great. So I was very pleased with that. One thing I think I didn't build correctly was the thematic compass, which in itself is a bomb and can go in practically any deck. However, when I first built the deck, I was a little bit apprehensive, as you also noticed that there are quite a number of different pirates and dinosaurs and vampires. There was obviously a strong vampire theme to the deck. However, I was a little bit concerned that I didn't have a solid enough line of everything. So being both black, white and dinosaur tribal isn't really a thing. There aren't that many payoffs for being a dinosaur deck in that colour combination. There are a few cards that care about being a dinosaur, but that's about it. So I wasn't overly worried from that front. However, having a few dinosaur cards and a few pirate and a few vampire cards, I didn't have any pirate payoff cards. I didn't have anything like a pirate's cutlass. I was a bit concerned that I could have a draw of a 2-drop pirate like the kite itself, rebooter into Maverick Fane on turn 3 into like a dinosaur the next turn, and just sort of not really have the deck gel very well together. Just kind of have these awkward sequences where I just play these random creatures that don't actually mesh well and aren't necessarily putting a very good clock on our opponent. However, when I actually played through the rounds, the deck was naturally seemed to just be putting on a very good clock. The only games that I tended to lose were the games that my opponent drew better than me, or I flooded out a little bit near the end. So day 1 I went 7-2, and one of the rounds I lost, my opponent just drew better than me. We had a board stall, and I would draw a land, my opponent would just draw better cards. I think I had a mulligan in one of the games as well, which was a bit unfortunate. And the other game that I lost, the guy resolved. The game that I won, he didn't resolve it, or it didn't matter. Whereas the 2 games that I lost, he had resolved an Algrel's Blood Feast, or Bloodfast, and was able to draw so many cards that I just couldn't keep up with him. He was able to trade aggressively because he was drawing multiple cards a turn that he could afford to trade with his creatures, and I just didn't have any follow-ups to that, whereas he'd trade aggressively and then just play a replacement creature, and I would be losing resources to my opponent actually just getting slowly ahead on board. And that I really underestimated Arguel's Bloodfast, and I think in draft it's just far too slow, and I just don't think you want to be paying the life cost. Whereas in Sealed, it actually felt, with the boards getting stalled that much more commonly, it actually felt like a very, very playable card, and actually very, very good at what it was doing, which is effectively getting you ahead, bringing you back if you're behind, and grinding your opponent out. Within Sealed, you want mana sinks, you want ways to gain card advantage. So I think that card really surprised me, where I've been so used to drafting. That's actually really strong, and if I had it in my pool, I would be playing it in future. The thematic compass that I didn't play would have been very, very good, and I don't think I wanted to cut any of my creatures in the deck. Maybe you've got an opinion one way or the other if you think I should have cut something over the thematic compass. Let me know in the comments below. It'd be interesting to see. I don't feel like there was anything else in my pool that I would have played over, but if you've got a comment or a thought that you think maybe you'd make a cut of any of the cards in there over the thematic compass, then please do let me know, because I'll be really interested to hear what your thoughts are on that, because I was really unsure what I would take, if anything. So in the end, I didn't make any changes to the main board of the deck, and I didn't feel like I was missing out on anything too much because of the solid removal that I had. But if you think that I made a mistake, then let me know. Also, sorry about the noise outside. They're digging up the neighbour's drive and putting in a new driveway there next door. So if you can hear it, some random sort of noises, it's just digging and some rubble going into the back of a big waste removal lorry. So sorry about that, but they've been digging away all morning, so I'm not really sure when they're going to stop. So I'm just sort of pushing on with the recording today, and I hope it's not too irritating. You just kind of ignore it as part of the background noise. So as I said, I went 7-2 and made the second day, which was fantastic. I've not made day 2 of a GP before, so I was really, really pumped, and ending the first day with a record that still gives me a shot at top 8 was really, really good. It was a really good feeling to be in that position. So being X&2 is like the lowest you want to be to have a shot at top 8, and so I was very happy. And day 2 I drafted Black White Vampires deck. The deck was pretty good, other than the fact it was very, very light on removal. If I'd taken a Pierce Interdiction at one point, if I'd taken that over one of the other 2 drops that I had, perhaps the deck would have been a little bit stronger. However, being at the point where you've got plenty of 5 drops, because the draft was really weird. Like the overall pack, a couple of the guys in the draft pod were saying this to me afterwards, they felt the pack quality was very low, and I think that was true. I didn't get anything like Call to the Feast, but I ended up with 4 of the guys that drain when they come in. I only ended up playing 3 of them because I just thought I had Anointed Deacon as well. So I had to cut the 4th one and just kind of suck up the fact that I didn't have any really great removal. I had a Vampire Zeal and a Skullduggery, so I had tricks and things I could do, ways to leverage combat. But if you know, against a savvy opponent, if they've got a good creature, they're not going to necessarily run into a combat trick, or they're going to have combat tricks of their own. I basically 1-2'd the draft, and the two rounds that I lost, both went to third games and were both very, very grindy. These horrendous board stalls. We were both playing draw go for a long time until one of us drew away to kind of force damage through. And yeah, the deck had multiple opportunities in those rounds that I lost, where if I top deck the guy that drains my opponent out, bearing in mind I had 3 of them in the deck, then I would win. If I top deck a way of getting through, like a Cob of Wings, then I would win. So the games were very, very close, and I was actually very pleased with the deck. If I'd got the extra bits of removal, then perhaps it would have been a bit better and allowed me to get there. But then even so, like, the fact that the games were so close, I do genuinely feel like either of those rounds could have gone either way. So I was really pleased with what I drafted. It was just the game didn't really kind of go my way. And then the last draft, I was green-blue in the end and had probably what I would call the worst Merfolk deck I've ever drafted. It was obviously in the wrong colours. That colour combination was just very, very weak. I just didn't get a very good draft. I think green would have been fine, but going blue was definitely wrong. So that was a little bit rough, and I didn't win any rounds, and I drew the last round because we went to time on this stupid game that was basically my opponent resolved Conqueror's Galleon and just kept recurring back Lifelinkers, and I didn't have a way to force the last bit of damage through, and that took 40 minutes for us to resolve that game just because it just took forever. I then beat him in 5 or 6 minutes, and then we had a couple of minutes left after, it's obviously sideboarding as well. Sort of looked at the clock, both just said there's no real point. None of us were playing for anything at this point because we were both X and 6, so there was no pro points, no cash on the line, and so we just kind of said, look, there's no point. I think we're both happy to sort of call it a draw and play side events. Because that game drew on, I didn't get a chance to play in a modern side event, which is a little bit frustrating, but I did a turbo draft in the end as well. Mulliganed to nothing in both games and basically threw away 15 quid for the privilege. Turbo Draft, if you're not familiar with, is this event that runs all throughout the day. It's a great time-killing exercise. So you draft for £15 and you play 1 round of draft, and that's it. If you win, you get 100 tickets. 10 tickets can be exchanged for a booster pack of Ixalan, as well as other various prizes, which were, I have to say, dreadful for this GP. It's been run by Cascade Games, and I've got nothing personal against Cascade Games, but the prize wall was rubbish. I don't actually rate prize walls very well at any GPs, generally speaking. Channel Fire will do them quite a lot of the GPs that we get in England, and the prize wall, because they do singles that they put out as well, that's pretty good. So, you have a few format staples, a few expeditions you can pick up if you've got some ticks. But generally speaking, the prize walls are just rubbish, absolute dross. Price the tickets as well, it's not like you're getting good value out of them. Like the tickets, if you want something good, the ticket cost of it is expensive. So it's not like you're getting prizes and you're able to exchange and kind of get value out of it. I mean, at the end of the day, side events, you normally get prizes off the back of it, so that's fine. You're not getting anything less. I just think anyone who goes, oh, the prize wall's great, it's not. It just is what it is. It's just a way of them offering out stuff that isn't money and a slight alternative to booster packs, because some people just don't want boosters. So that was my GP, and I am still shattered. 12 hours of driving overall on the weekend, as well as that same amount of hours, probably 18 hours worth of playing Magic, over both days, is a very long day. It's catching up with me this week as I kind of slowly recover. I have been to IKEA recently. I've got some furniture, some baby furniture, which we need to put together. This room that we are in at the moment is no longer going to be my recording studio. We will be stripping everything out of here and redecorating it, although I don't see the point. This room is decorated amply for a baby who is not going to have any concept of decor. So I'm not really looking forward to decorating it, if you haven't guessed already. And it'll be fun to do with my wife. It'll be a fun activity to do together. But any kind of physical labour is uninteresting to me. So yeah, we're going to be decorating the room and putting the baby furniture in, building the baby furniture. It'll be fun. I will enjoy that. It's like Lego, building stuff. That's fun. And then then I'll be relegated to a different corner of the house to record. I don't know what that will be as of yet. And then hopefully we'll start, when we finally get planning permission back from the council, we can start building an extension. So then in a few months I will be able to have a proper recording space. So yeah, that's plenty to look forward to in the coming months. So watch this space for renovations and moving around. But that is everything from me for now. If you like the video, then do give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already to keep up to date with all the content that I produce. I'm going to be doing another Ixalan draft. I've done a couple already, which you can find a link for in the description below. And not only that, I also run a podcast called Glimmer of Genius, which can be found at glimmerofgenius.podbean.com, as well as on the channel itself. So if you're hungry for even more Magic the Gathering content, you won't be disappointed. But in the meantime, thanks very much for watching, and stay tuned for more.